Well, something bizarre just happened over the skies of Hawaii. And of course, not one word from the mainstream media. You see, right now, people are getting injured. In fact, there's been over 11 injuries recently over the skies in Hawaii. And people are freaking the heck out, worried about planes just plunging out of nowhere. And this particular, shall I call it, toxicity or changes in the air, it's not only in Hawaii, it is now spreading. Not only that, but just yesterday, Texas and New Mexico, southern portions of those two areas, were issued a major toxin alert on the air. Again, the mainstream media was silent. That thankfully has now been lifted in those areas. But here's the thing, it was one of the highest toxin levels that we have seen in the air in a very long time. Again, the mainstream media didn't say anything. And by the way, I was doing research today and I found that pollutants and toxins in the air like that, according to a research report that was done out of a university, according to that research report, this could increase your chances of Alzheimer's. I'm starting to wonder, well, I guess there's no need to wonder why there's such a higher increase in Alzheimer's. But I've got a lot to share with you in today's broadcast, so please hang with me. But as a quick reminder, I started a brand new channel called the Lisa Report because YouTube hasn't really been sending out notifications. And it's weird, right? People go to my other channel. I had it about 4 years ago and I haven't been active in a while, but a lot of people are like, where have you been? I haven't seen you in forever. And I'm like, no, I'm still here, but this is a great way. They're still sending out reports. So subscribe to Lisa Report. But with that, what the heck is going on in Hawaii? Well, take a look at this. And I found this on the Daily Mail. And it's headlined, Strange Changes to the Air Over Hawaii Spark Fears of Deadly Plane Plunges. And danger is spreading to more vacation hotspots. Traveling to island paradises is said to become slower and even more dangerous due to invisible disruptions along busy flight routes, experts have warned. Incidents of extreme turbulence are feared to rise as the air around Hawaii and other tropical destinations heats up, creating the possibility of planes suddenly plunging hundreds of feet, injuring or even killing passengers thrown around in the cabin. Joanne de Medeiros from the University of Reading in the UK explained that global warming has been changing fast-moving air currents called jet streams. It goes on to state that these are like fast-moving rivers of wind around 35,000 feet, exactly where most airplanes cruise. And Hawaii lies near one called the subtropical jet stream that flows across the central Pacific near 20 to 30 degrees north latitude. Basically, what this is saying is that the temperature differences are making the jet stream stronger and increasing the changes and the wind speed at different heights, right? Causing like this vertical wind shear. But basically, this is what makes it very unstable for these airplanes that are flying through, right? So all these changes cause these issues in the planes. But it goes on to state this, that 2 recent incidents of turbulence over Hawaii have led to more than 30 injuries. So I said 11 in the beginning, but it's 30 injuries, 2 recently, including several passengers and crew members being hospitalized for head trauma and lacerations. The most serious incident occurred in December 18th, 2022, and this is back in the day when Hawaii Airlines flight HA-35 descended more than 1,000 feet after flying over a storm cell, an embedded thunderstorm, flinging passengers out of their seat and striking the ceiling. Specifically, Medeiros mentioned 2 different types of air turbulence that can threaten flights overhead in Hawaii. One's called convective turbulence, and the other is called clean air turbulence, or CA turbulence. So though some of this happened in 2002, these, where 30 people have been injured, are 2 recent incidents. In other words, they are seeing an increase in these incidents, ergo the report. But anyway, there's 2 different types of turbulence that can happen: convective turbulence and clear air turbulence. Now, regarding clear air turbulence, Medeiros comes out and warns that the CAT could be even more concerning, as the phenomenon can strike planes with no warning and nothing for pilots to look out for. In other words, this is the kind of stuff that happens without any notification. And you can see here some of the turbulence in this video where the plane had turbulence. In fact, It came right after the shaking of the plane. Unfortunately, they didn't get the shaking part, but things were open, stuff is flying on the floor, and this was one of the flights there that happened to. People obviously got injured. You can see that in some of the footage there as well. So, needless to say, something is going on over the skies of Hawaii, and it is spreading to other tropical areas. So, just giving you a heads up so you are aware of it. I think especially if you're planning to fly in the area. Meanwhile, millions of people were literally told to lock their windows and stay indoors as a life-threatening toxic air ran through parts of New Mexico and Texas. And this is on the Daily Mail as well. Millions told to lock the windows as life-threatening toxic air spreads across multiple U.S. states. And here's the thing. If you were in those states and you were in that area, I want to know if you even got the alert, because I leave it in the comments section. I honestly want to know, but hazardous conditions along the U.S. southern border have prompted health officials to warn Americans to stay indoors with the windows shut. The U.S. EPA has issued its highest level of alert air quality over Texas and New Mexico, calling the pollutants in the air over a 150-mile swath as hazardous to human health. The toxic cloud is centered over El Paso, Texas, which sits along the U.S. border with Mexico in an area already under high wind alert on Tuesday, which may be contributing to blowing in nearby smoke and dust. It goes that the NWS, the National Weather Service, issued an advisory specifically for El Paso and Santa Teresa and New Mexico on Tuesday. Now, there was an air quality warning, and they warned that the area is full of PM10. What PM10 is it's a type of air pollutant made up of tiny particles or liquid droplets floating around in the air that are 10 micrometers in diameter, thinner than your hair, right? The inhalable particles can get deep into your lungs, which makes them problemsome. And it is created by construction, pollen, mold, smoke, soot, industry emissions, and wind-blown dirt. Now, PM10 is noticeably larger than PM 2.5, right? Let me make a statement here, because PM 2.5 is what they're saying could be linked to Alzheimer's, or according to that study, it's showing an increase in Alzheimer's. And PM10 here is right with it, is just a larger version of PM2. PM 2.5 is more toxic, but because it's smaller and can get in more areas. That's the difference between PM10 and PM2. But PM10 in this case can damage the lungs, worsen respiratory issues like asthma, and even contribute to heart attacks, strokes, and cause premature death in large amounts. And you can see the air. This is a picture of the actual air there that the toxins were. So you kind of see that picture there as well. But anyway, they registered the AQI in that area at 290, which is extremely dangerous for all individuals, sick or healthy. Now, let me show you on the scale, right? The air quality index scale, what 290 is. So you can see 0 to 5, 50, good, 51 to 100, you're still kind of sitting pretty. Orange, we're going to worry a little bit. Red, yeah. Oh, well, here we are. We're on the purple. And they were at 290. They're literally borderline between the maroon and purple. That's how bad that health advisory was in that area. Now, we have had the maroon a couple times before, I believe, New York being one of those. But anyway, the risk of health effects increases for everyone on purple. And then on the maroon, which they were borderline, like by 11 points, right? Health warnings of emergency conditions. Everybody is more likely to be infected. And that's what they were getting in that area. But again, not much information from the mainstream media. Now, why I call alert to this is because there's a study that just came out of an invisible danger. And this is these PM 2.5 danger that we're talking about, these small particles, same as that PM 10, but smaller, right? And this is the invisible danger that they're talking about. This is on the Daily Mail. Invisible danger experienced by 150 million Americans could cause dementia. Daily Mail map reveals you are at risk. So dementia, and I believe not just dementia, but Alzheimer's as well. So they're both kind of in there. Nearly half of all Americans are breathing in polluted air that is silently wreaking havoc on our brains. A new research pointing to strong links between particulate matter and Alzheimer's disease. Fine particulate matter, PM 2.5 exposure has been tied to an array of chronic health conditions affecting organs. Now, a team at Emory University in Georgia has determined that these PM2.5 contributes to a higher risk of Alzheimer's, the most common form of dementia that affects roughly 5 million Americans by directly targeting the brain. For every small increase in PM2.5, Alzheimer's risk rose by nearly 9%. That might sound modest, but spread across millions of seniors, it translates into tens of thousands of additional cases, right? So in the bloodstream, PM2 sparks inflammation. It can constrict your vessels, rise your blood pressure, and promote artery narrowing plaquing, right? Which can triggers oxidative stress, damaging cells and mitochondria and DNA from the head to toe. That's why this is so risky. But after 2 centuries, the researchers conclude that the dirtier the air, the higher the risk for Alzheimer's. Now, it goes on to state that based on the 2025 State of Air report from the American Lung Association, 156 million people live in areas with failing marks for particle pollution, that PM2.5 or ozone, a staggering 25 million more people than just over a year. So there's kind of that in a nutshell. That's why I think it's important to alert people to advisories such as just what happened in El Paso and New Mexico. And it happens across the United States of America time and again, but this was a pretty intense toxic level in those areas. So hopefully you got the alert. But with all of that, I want to encourage you guys, please get on over to restrictedrepublic.com. I've got lots of great information I'm sharing on there, exclusive content. We do extended versions over there on some reports and also exclusive videos that you're not getting anywhere else because we've got inside intel that we've got to share there. You can see some of our latest exclusive there with the red sign on it. You're really going to want to get there. You could see why they're there. But anyway, use the coupon code Lisa and the number 5 to get it for $5 per month. It's a good way to support what we do here. Anyhow, with all of that, I love you all. I'm Lisa Haven, signing out.